Hey guys, we've had a bit of rain overnight, so it's a bit too wet for me to get out to go to work. So I'm going to spend the day doing a bit of reloading, so I thought I'd just show you the process of how I reload bullets. And yeah, I'll just, for those of you who don't know what the process is and who haven't done reloading and would like to get into it, this is maybe a bit of a help to you, but take from it what you will. But anyway, this is how I do it. Most of what I use is Lee branded stuff in the reloading gear, but that's just what I bought a kit years ago, and this is what works for me. And yeah, so I'll just show you the process. There's my press. I got the shell holder on there for the 223 brass. That's what I'm going to be reloading today. I'll use the full resizing die. I've got it set up right from previous reloading, so I don't have to change anything. There's my powder thrower. I'm going to have to check to make sure it's set right. It probably won't be because my brother used it last and probably reloading for his 30-30, so I'm going to be using Winchester primers to start with till I run out of them, and then I'm going to go on with these Federal ones, and I'm going to be projectiles. I'm using these 55 grain hollow point from Hornady, so a little boat tail on them. That's what I've been using for a fair while, but once I run out of them, I've got that's more of them. I've got these just 55 grain soft points. The powder I'm going to use is an AR2206H from ADI powder. And I've got the big bottle over there. So yeah, what else? I've got the little Hornady digital scales here. I have got the other balancing ones, but these ones are a bit better. Yeah, so I've also got the dies here. I've got just a neck sizing die, but most of the time I do a full resize, and then if I'm swapping between rifles, because I've got two 223s, so when I'm changing between them, it's not getting tight because the chambers can be slightly different. But the brass, I've just got some Remington brass, and I've got Winchester brass, and then all sorts of brass over there. So I've got a little bit to do. Anyway, enough of that, we'll get onto it, and I'll just lube them all up with this Hornady one-shot case lube, and yeah, I'll show you how to do that. So first of all, I've got an old shirt here, and I just lay them all out, all in a rows. See, when you're doing bulk lots, find this is give it a bit of a swirl, and that because the bottom of the case is heavier than the top, you give them a swirl and the top sort of face up, and you can just grab handfuls and lay them all out in rows. Okay, give this a bit of a shake. And now I might put the little nozzle on here. So when you spray, you sort of spray at an angle so it goes up inside the neck as well. So you, at an angle, just going over the top of the case. And you should give them all a little bit of half a turn. also, just so we can get a coating on the whole lot. And that's all you do. And they'll dry. You don't have to wash it off. Well, I never do anyway. Some people might disagree with me, but I'll go and do all the rest of them while I'm at it. And yeah, I'll show you the next process then. Now if you get your reloading book, I've got just this ADI Powders hand loaders guide. Just a quick disclaimer, when you're reloading you have to be very, very careful. If you do something wrong and put too much powder in or something like that, you're not paying attention, you can be very, very dangerous and you can do damage to your rifle or yourself or others around you too. So just be very, very careful doing this. This is just what you need to do your own research into what powder weights and everything for your loads. But for me, I'm using an AR2206H powder. So if I look in here, you get for 55 gram projectile, AR2206H, your starting load is 25 grains of powder. Your maximum is 26. So you don't exceed your maximums. Stay within 25 and 26 grains. How this works, for those who don't know, when your shell gets fired, when you fire the round in the chamber of the rifle, this whole thing expands and your neck gets a bit bigger. And so when you get, let's get a projectile, I'll get one of these, one that I haven't resized. The projectile will go in and it's a fairly loose fit. And so what this does, when you put it in here, it forces it up inside this die and it shrinks it down. It's been machined to get the bullet to the exact specifications. That pin up in the top here punches a little bit of light so you can see a bit better. Pin up here it goes down and punches the primer out the bottom, and it forces the neck and the whole thing up inside this thing, which shrinks the size of the bullet down, the shell down, I'm sorry. So now it won't be tight in the chamber, and it'll just be a nice fit. Then your primer pocket, you put a new primer in there, and then you put your powder in and your projectile in the top, and then you're ready to go again. Get the empty ones here, they're being lubed up, put them in the shell holder there, pull your handle down, primer gets punched out, drops into the thing, give them a quick check over, make sure your case neck isn't split, and then go to the next one. Make sure he's in the shell holder properly first. These primer pockets aren't too dirty, otherwise you've got a little primer pocket cleaner you can get in there to clean them out, and you can trim them down to the right length, but I've trimmed these not that long ago, so they should all be right. It's a pretty monotonous process, but anyway, you do what you got to do. When you got 1,000 to do, it takes a few. It can be a more than a one-day job, but I thought about buying a automatic press that does sort of everything. Drops your powder in, does your priming, everything all in the one pull down of the handle, but it costs a lot of money, and I've already bought this one, had this one here, so take a bit of time. If you spend the time and you do them carefully, you get the loads a lot more accurate, and then you know where they're shooting where you want them to be, and not some with a bit of powder here and not as much powder there. Just if you take the time and do things correctly, you don't have as many troubles down the track. Anyway, fill them and a few buckets over there. I'll see you in a couple of hours. One full tube of primers into the bin. What do you reckon, Ricky? My wife's pet budgie. He'd love to be getting out here helping me, sitting on my shoulder, but I don't want him eating anything he shouldn't be. No, nearly finished. Nearly done a bucket and a half. I'll keep going. Okay, now that all the resizing is done, now for the priming. So what to do, got the shell holder in there. Get them all to run down. Push the lever up. So there's a lever in here. Push that up, and it pushes a primer up here. Drops it in there. And see now the two primers coming up together. That one goes in and drops another one in there ready to go. Push the shell into the holder, and the next one drops in. And there you go. There's one in there ready to go. Next one is in there, in the hole there. Works best when it's held at an angle about like that. Okay, now I have to set up the powder. Just pour this hopper full of powder. We need to set the weight. We'll just fill up the hopper first. Check our weight, 22.2, so I'm going to go out a little bit more. .6. Sometimes it takes a bit of fine tuning before it gets consistent. 23.9. That's right. Just do a few readings, make sure that's zero that. 25. Okay, happy with that. So now that I've got it measuring right, I'll put the resizing die away and get this next one out. It's the one for the seating die, seating the projectile in. Get a shell and put the powder in it. Check there's a bit of powder there, get a projectile, set it on the top. And there you go, set it into the right depth anyway. Undone. Should go and get a container to put them in. This is where you have to really start thinking and make sure you don't forget to put the powder in. I've made that mistake before, and most of the time the primer has still enough to push the pressure to push the bullet out. Yeah, but you might end up getting a bullet stuck in the chamber, stuck in halfway down the barrel if you don't. Anyway, I'll keep going and do the rest of these. And I'll see you when I'm done. And there you go, there's 100 done. Isn't that just a nice sight? 100 bullets. All loaded, ready to go. Anyway, we'll keep going and get the rest of these done. Well, I've been sitting here for over about 14 hours nearly. Had a break or two, but it's how long it's sort of taken to get these done, and this is the last one. $1,034 done. It's been a pretty long process, but if you're going to do it right, you take your time, and yeah, if you got, it'd be easier and a lot quicker if you had some of these automatic press things, but this is what I've got. So yeah, all these. Some of these I swapped over. Had found some 51 grain for the old 222. Some projectiles in the cupboard for it, so that I'll try them in the 223 and use them up. There's about 300 and something of them, 314 of them I think. So all of them, those. You got all these boxes full. And there are hollow points. Actually no, there's 1,038 I've loaded total. Well, here we go. There's all the rounds are done, as you can see. About nearly 300 in that bucket. There's 100 in that one, and 45 in that one. And there you go. I got try and keep the different brands of brass separately. Well, I've got a lot of Remington brass and a lot of Winchester brass, so I keep them all separate so they shoot a bit more consistently when you're shooting. They group a bit better with all the same brass, I think, but it doesn't make much difference. But I'd just like to keep it all. But then there's squares, I've got lots of little bits and pieces, I bunch them all together in that. But like I said before, I got some of these ones here, and those are just using some old soft point 51 grain projectiles. So yeah, we'll see how they go into 2D3. Well, I think that's all for this video. Just a quick reminder, just if you are wanting to do reloading, just make sure you do your own research and work out carefully what load you're going to use. So yeah, just work out what your rifle likes best. Mine doesn't seem to really care about how much I put in it. It seems to group well whatever, so I just stick with a starting load and use as little as powder as possible, and so I can get the maximum amount of shots out of a bottle of powder. But just so it brings the cost of the rounds down, especially when you're going through so many like I do. So anyway, just be very, very careful if you do want to get into it and you've never done it before. It's not a hard process. It just takes a long time. If you're doing a lot like I do, anyway. If you've only got a few to do, it's not so bad. But anyway, you work it out. Just follow the steps that I showed, but just make sure you do your own research into what powder weights and everything I use. I use 25 grains in my 2D3, but your 2D3 might not be the same. You have to work that out on your own, and just sort of trial and error and try a bit and shoot it and see how it goes. Just don't ever exceed the maximum load. So with that said, hope you've all enjoyed the video. I hope you've got something out of it if you've never really done reloading before and you're interested to get into it, or just wondered about it. But anyway, that's how the process I go through it anyway. So yeah, give it a thumbs up if you did like it, and also if you'd like to head over to my Patreon, any support over there would be much appreciated as well. And leave a comment below if you want to chat more about it and ask any more questions. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next video.